Okay, good morning to all. President prediction that the COVID-19 crisis is leading the world sooner than new. So the exact nature of the change is not known at this time, but safety we can predict that there is going to be a tectonic shift to online. In the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, millions of students across the globe have been driven out of in-person space, and professors are confined to home. Faculty and students are grappling with the sudden new norm of online teaching and learning. There was a crucial month from February to April, which generally see a flurry of activities, curricular and assessment activities.
स्क्रीन ऑफ हो गया
Teachers, students alike came under the pressure to not to lose academic time and reinvent their teaching learning in the only possible way, or completely online. In India, it seems teachers are exhausted, whether they will switch over to online teaching or they will wait when things become normal so that they can go back to their classroom to disseminate their knowledge of this more. There is in fact a problem of abundance now. So many applications, so many platforms, which actually use for which purpose, how to measure student progress, and how to keep the students engaged and motivated on learning. What about future employment of the students? Whether the universities will be able to provide as much employment opportunities for the students? Will the teachers have to rebrand their course curriculum completely? The next one here is to be faced with research as well as this. Will there be a drastic change in how and what the teachers want to follow for that research? The numbers and conclusions and systems arise in the minds of the teachers in the absence of clear guidance and guidance. With all these other questions and perhaps many more, this webinar on the topic for 6 changes in higher education, both COVID and Indian context. And along with me, my distinguished panel members, the three panel members, and Professor Narayan Sahu is the first panel member. Professor Sahu has 37 years of university experience with 4 leading Indian and MNCs, engineering and manufacturing companies. Last 3 years is not. Professor Madhukar Sedgwick, faculty from Citizen Science and Operations at the Abdullah School of Management at the University, having 23 years of management teaching experience. Professor Swagat Mishra from the area of economics, having 8 years of teaching experience. Good morning, all my panel members. I welcome all the distinguished panel members to this webinar session. I welcome all the eager participants. And I encourage the participants to send their valuable input and queries and do their best to constraints before we conclude this webinar. Professor Reddy, my first question goes to you. The faculty's immediate response to conduct classes online during COVID-19, whether they were doing it reluctantly or wholeheartedly, but it is one thing clearly that the faculty should have been prepared to take online classes, which was already coming, and which is already adopted in the various universities in the world. Do you think, sir, the change to online mode of teaching is a temporary phenomenon or is it going to stay a new normal in Indian context? Professor Ray.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. It's really great for me to be a part of this webinar. Thank you, ma'am, for asking this pertinent question. Of course, as per my understanding, the post-COVID that is going to happen, particularly in higher education, is going to last long. I mean, we can say we are going to experience a permanent change. A new trend of using technology in teaching learning process in higher education is going to be set. What my perception about this post-COVID entire higher education. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. But I'm just curious to know that about asynchronous and synchronous mode of teaching. Will it be only online teaching or will there be a combination of online teaching and offline teaching? And can you please know some light on synchronous
Yeah, of course, initially, at least for one trimester, we'll have synchronous as well as asynchronous mode of teaching, because all of students, all of a sudden, we cannot switch over to a digital teaching methodology, which may not be acceptable for students. But in future, we'll have to go for online mode of teaching.
Well, now the next question is Professor Sahu. Good morning, sir. Professor Sahu, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Sir, those who claim the biggest challenge is how to motivate the students online mode. Is it really possible to engage them and to make the class as interactive and as lively?
Good morning, everybody. This is Professor Lalatendu Sahu from Birla Global University, welcoming you all to this webinar on 27 May 2020. Yeah, keeping the students engaged, whether it is online or offline, is a big challenge for any faculty. Especially on the online teaching mode, it starts with the day zero, when the faculty sends out the course outline and the course details to the students and creates an awareness about the teaching pedagogy and the subject and the skills that the students are going to acquire. If they feel they are benefiting from the course, it creates a big step forward. On the day one of the class, the faculty takes up a detailed discussion about the course in interactive mode, and the students understand the teaching pedagogy, the assessment mechanism, and they also further understand the benefits of the course. If properly communicated and accepted by the students on day one itself, I think it's a big step forward and establishes a rapport right at the beginning. The ice is broken. Classes should be light, simple, lively, and warm. We can use multimedia techniques like videos and audios for the class teaching. In fact, I teach operation management. My course initially starts with a factory visit or a plant visit of a factory to expose the students to what is production, what is operation, which is not possible now. Possibly, I will create a lively classroom demo through a video and get my students to understand what is a factory, what is a plant, what is production. So that's how it's going to check. Possible extension could be quizzes, tests, breakdown session, polls, chat boxes. This could keep the students engaged and busy. Gamification is another technique that is being used by many faculties with limitations of investment and facilities and infrastructure. If possible, institutes can use artificial intelligence and bot to keep the students engaged, quietly collect data, do the regular work so the faculty is free for the regular teaching. Rewards and recognitions could be a highly motivating factor for the students. Any of this combination or innovative ideas are required with the students. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, so much. Now, Professor Mishra, you think our students are ready to take online classes? What are the skill sets that the students need to develop, and so are the teachers?
Thank you, ma'am. A healthy morning to one and all. Schooling doesn't ensure employability, but skill does. And willpower is a skill. So besides having a stable information technology infrastructure and training the faculty for teaching online, the students also expect universal education delivery systems. They have been facilitated by massive open online courses and other educational domains such as the Tata Ion, the Zoom sessions. We have Harvard Business Revenue Platform. We have got some constant development initiatives by the government of India much before the outbreak of the pandemic by creating some portals such as the EPG Pathshala, which was created by NCERT. We have SWAYAM online portal for teaching the faculty members with abundance of course content. We have NEET for enhancing the employability. We also have national project on technology enhanced learning, which is NPTEL, as well as the knowledge academic depository and the national knowledge network. Ma'am, I'm happy to state that Birla Global University is already registered with National Academic Depository. Thank you.
Professor Ray, since Professor Sahu mentioned about artificial intelligence, so that the inclusion of artificial intelligence is already has revolutionized healthcare in other parts of the world. And it is used to advance curriculum for assessment, for examination, and so on and so forth. Do you think we can make our online examination as authentic, as fair, and without compromising on the integrity of the entire exercise? And how to use artificial intelligence to scale up online mode examination?
Yeah, to answer your question, ma'am, of course, artificial intelligence is going to be great in imparting online education. Colleges, universities hope artificial intelligence will help them to carry out time-intensive administrative and academic tasks or make IT process more efficient, enrollment in a climate of decline, and deliver a better learning experience for students. However, lot about the role of artificial intelligence in classroom personalization, education, sophisticated technology, and blending online learning with customized application. Recently, Stanford University published a report that data collected from massive scale online learning system have fueled the rapid growth of field of learning analytics, technology, and artificial intelligence. They larger and perhaps turning new roles in teaching, learning, and classroom. Right now, many online artificial intelligence driven learning system in diagnostic assessment that indicate what students currently know and can do, what they are ready to learn next. Advantage of AI embedded online system is that it can manage students' learning needs, deliver instructions, and track progress of individual students and group for the teachers. Automatically, many universities and higher education institutions in India are currently adopting this system embedded with artificial intelligence.
In some islands, already AI supported online examinations are being held. So when it comes to Mishra, do you think BGU is ready for the online classes and examinations post COVID?
Oh, certainly, yes, ma'am. Birla Global University is a state-private university under the University Grants Commission, where we have been very instrumental towards Bharat Padhega Online, as envisaged by Honorable Minister of Human Resource Development. We have been actively practicing information and communication technology through our webinars, faculty development programs, faculty council meetings, digital classrooms, and the most challenging as well as interesting having the conduct of online examination. The academic teaching and learning is encouraged on this ICT platform more rigorously, and Birla Global University is definitely advancing forward thanks to our efficient administration and supportive stakeholders.
Oh, yes. Professor Ray, how many teachers on Birla Global University take to online classes?
Yeah, ma'am. Coronavirus has fractured a large chunk of India's education system. In the view of emergency caused due to COVID-19, Birla Global University has already ventured into online mode of teaching and online examination as well. At Birla Global University, many faculty members have already completed their respective unfinished syllabus of different courses. They were already in the last trimester or semester to online courses using different platforms or apps like Zoom, Google Classroom, etc. Even top management of the university is also encouraging faculty members to go for online mode of teaching and evaluation. At Birla Global University, we have already conducted online examinations for all our students of terminating semesters and trimesters. For the next academic session, BGU is planning to start online classes in July, and almost all faculty members have been trained for this new challenge. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Professor Sahu, what is your take on Birla Global University's digital readiness?
As my distinguished colleagues have already said, BGU's introduction to online teaching is not a reaction to COVID-19. It is a proactive decision which was taken a year back to switch over to online method of teaching over a period of time. What COVID did is to accelerate the process. Probably what could have happened 2 years or 3 years down the line has happened today. Today, the faculties of Birla Global University are in a position to conduct online classes, online tests. This has been proved in the last 3 months, and I am very sure Birla Global University will be able to implement online teaching from July 1st. Maybe some additional infrastructural and support services are required. Improvement in technology is required, which we will be able to do in the next couple of months. Thank you.
Now, participants, there is a small poll now regarding online teaching learning. Both teachers and students can respond to this poll. Please respond to the question. We will show you the results after a while. So, we can say we are privileged. We are digitally privileged, but the entire nation is not. As a teacher, you must be concerned about the digital divide and opportunity. Those things, unless technology is accessible and equitable to us, or online mode of classes and examinations in Indian higher education cannot be the new norm.
Thank you once again, ma'am. In fact, right to education is both our elementary as well as fundamental claim, especially for the 6 to 14 age group. However, taking the technology orientation for higher education requires a quintessential accessibility, which is again the Right to Education Act on the technological front. There are certain imbalances which are needed to be controlled, especially the availability of resources with institutions, the financial aid, as well as the capacity building initiatives. However, I do admit that the digital split is the gap between demographics and regions where we have some getting the benefit and the others who cannot afford it. But I am also a believer. And considering education to be a merit good, which means it is non-exclusive and non-rivalry in nature, education and technological orientation are a combined effort towards the determinant of growth in the global economy. And this cannot be done without the digital split, which has to be lessened and narrowed. Otherwise, it would still continue to barricade potential students and active minds to receive these learning aids. Today, the most discussed issue in education sector pertains to the availability of a quality-based online teaching as well as at an affordable cost. Thus, ma'am, digital divide can be bridged with technological advancement. The sooner, the better, if we have the common goal of digital literacy.
Yes, and this is online courses now, MOOC, PT Pathshala, and other courses that you mentioned are being offered completely free as part of government digital initiative. But unless technology mediated, to be technology mediated education to be successful, I think a lot more needs to be done. Coming to the next question, this is to Professor Sahu. Professor Sahu, this is one of the most important aspects of higher education. That is to provide employment opportunities to students. Professor Sahu, you have been in the industry your entire career into learning academics. Do you think it will be an easy task to prepare the students with their employability skills on online mode, and what are those new employability skills? Professor Sahu.
Yeah. Ma'am, while I accept your question that, can you please repeat the question for a second, ma'am? I didn't hear it clearly.
Okay. So my question is very simple. So how
Just
to prepare? Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
How to prepare students with their employability?
Okay. Ma'am, basically, I don't see much of a problem in students adopting to industrial practice. Only the teaching methodology may change from offline to online. But the basic learning process remains same. What post-COVID industry will demand is skill-based knowledge and This can be done in collaboration with various industries. We have to introduce blended model of teaching where universities will cooperate with the industries to offer the students multiple skills, live projects, interaction with corporate sector executives, which will strengthen their knowledge base to switch into the industry. Experiential learning, exposure to crafts, entrepreneurship, hard work will be the key to success. Coming to your second part of the question regarding the personality of the student, I think COVID has practically humbled the whole world, India, and every citizen in this country. Not only the Gen Z, but also every citizen has felt what is simple way of living, how to live with people, how to live in society, how to be responsible to all our participants. And Gen Z also has understood what is basically roti kapda or makan, and combined that with the technical skills. They have the build up a discipline, their character will improve much more and they will be more effective citizens of this country.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I think I agree with you also. I think the students will be more self-reliant and more motivated, more accountable to take their own career journey in their hands, and that's important. Now, can we have the analysis of the schooling results? And request Professor Swagat, now the schooling results have come from this Swagat.
No, ma'am, I think Mr. Pandey is still working on it.
Okay. So let's go to the next question. And this question again to Professor Swagat. Professor Swagat, the COVID-19 crisis, is a pandemic which brought unprecedented changes in every field. Has experiences in the past brought a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities. Do you think that this situation also will provide good career opportunities? And what are those opportunities? What is the role of university?
Madam, COVID is not brought about a recession. It has brought about a shocking depression. Incidents in the past were controllable, geographically limited, but COVID has caused a global destruction of economy as well as humanity. And I see that right now, as it stands, there will be two key factors. One is on the health issue. How quickly are we able to develop a vaccine to counter COVID? Until it is developed, how we are able to maintain discipline and social distancing to limit the damage caused by COVID. The other aspect is on economy. Between them, US and China control or contribute nearly one-third, nearly 35% of the global GDP. Today, the fight between US and China is highly disturbing. The earlier they resolve their differences, it is better not only for themselves but for the whole world. I think these two factors will ensure that some kind of discipline, some kind of process is established in the business recovery process. And this will decide how the business focus is going to be. And this will give the students an opportunity to get into jobs, get into their lives basically. As far as skills are concerned, the skill set they got to develop is one of information technology, one of communication, one of hard work, one of combining practical learning with on-the-job training and concepts of technology. And they must be conscious of the cost. They must behave friendly with people. And universities should create an environment for interaction between students and the corporates to build up this kind of confidence. Thank
Oh, yes, sir. Sir, I think the 4 results have come now. Yes, this is the 4 results. I request Professor Mishra to show analysis of the results.
Surely, ma'am. The first question pertaining to this current polling was on, have you experienced online teaching learning process, both for the student as well as for the faculty? And we can clearly see a humongous support of the participants who are actually taking the advantage of this online content delivery mechanism. In fact, I'm pretty sure, ma'am, that most of our attendees today for the webinar might be also using all the different devices so that they do not miss out on this particular webinar form.
Yes, yes. The second poll result.
Can I request Mr. Pandey to go for the second question later?
Yes, okay. Then we will go ahead with the question.
Surely, ma'am.
The next question is, now there's a lot of transformation taking place. Now, how is Birla Global University playing up the top to deal with these challenges? And I thank all the panel members who respond to this question, starting from Professor Sahu, then Professor Ray, you can respond, and Professor Mishra, you can respond after that.
Yes, ma'am. We have, yeah, ma'am. Already we have just touched upon the collaboration between industry and the students and the university. What is required today is opportunity for the students to interact, to get into corporate. Notwithstanding the short time period, if you look at this year's MBA 1921 batch, almost 50% of them are doing online summer projects. That's a very good sign. And this probably could be taken forward in the next 2-3 months with active participation in industrial activity, in exchange programs, and exchanging ideas with them.
Professor Ray.
Yeah, ma'am. I do agree with Professor Sahu. I do agree with Professor Sahu. We are going to have a very tough time, but I'm sure we will be immersed with timely taken strategy and our preparedness for the situation. Both the faculties and students need to work collaboratively for this. In Birla Global University, we are extensively using online teaching methods. Very recently, we have conducted online examinations for all terminating ministers and prime ministers. Very in near future, we'll be having Viva online technology. So we are very much into these practices, and certainly we will be doing in this regard at Birla Global University. Thank you, ma'am.
Now, second question was from which platform did you use? Do we have the analysis? Professor Suvagar?
I request Mr. Pandey to show us the results to the question for the second polling done.
So we have given number of options, who, other options as well. And we have the analysis, please. Yes. That's one of the analysis from Mr. Kish.
In fact, this particular result is both contradicting and yet fulfilling. Contradicting because there have been some reporting on the usage of Zoom for the online sessions being conducted on the demerit of data security. However, since Zoom has been widely utilized across various institutes, no doubt most of our attendants today have been utilizing the Zoom platform. We can see a close second would be the equally accessible platform on Google Classroom, whereas Telegram, Microsoft Teams, and the other sources have also been taken a note for in order to be online and continue with work and continue the rigor of learning. Thank you, Mr. Pandey.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have the second poll, third poll, last question. Has it come already? Already it has. Professor Suvagar, you have responded to my question. How is Birla Global University is ready to accept this challenge?
I could not agree more with both of my co-panelists, because on one hand, we know that the current Indian education system cannot function since only a minor percentage of the universities and comparatively schools have internet provision and they have the technological know-how. The brighter side is digital India, digital governance, particularly the e-governance, and therefore ensuring a digital campus. And in the upper third, I shall share some statistics. First, the Indian online education system is set to grow to US $2 billion with 10 million subscribers by the next year, which is 2021, compared to a mere $247 million of 1.6 million users in 2016. Now, this is reported by KPMG India as well as Google. Secondly, the education industry overview is also promising because there are some co-benefits associated with it, particularly on the online learning platform. There are benefits of reskilling and online certification, primary and secondary educational supplemental benefits. We have the test preparation, which has in fact emerged as an expansionary demand. And this has amounted to a compounded annual growth rate of 64% by 2021. Third, and most importantly, this particular online engagement of students and faculty and different practitioners have in fact revolutionized the instrumental provision because it is a flexible medium, it is convenient, it is at your ease, and it is very user friendly because there are plentiful of guidance of videos. And I'm not surprised that YouTube uploads approximately 200 videos every minute on the global front. And out of that, the productive learning shares a staggering 64%. And these are the value added services which have in fact come up by the provision of internships, live projects, the peer-to-peer learning. At Birla Global University, we are also positive in adapting to the change. And recently, we discussed setting up of a digital campus with the Tata Ion together with the existing utilities of the digital library on our campus. We have InPods, which are course-intended and program-intended learning outcomes. We have online classroom orientation in BGU, both for the undergraduation as well as post-graduation students. Also, a lot of research and development activities are concurrently done on the online mechanism. And this is in fact resulted in a work integrated learning environment, which has been improvised on the skill imported training and guidance.
Recently, BGU has organized an activity on online learning and all of them and participated in that. And I'm sure that every faculty must be doing many such activities and training programs to themselves a great stuff for current practices to take up a future strategy. So coming to again employment, Professor Sam complete India industry who can create larger employment opportunities post-COVID.
Madam, I see immediate potential for health-related companies, that is the pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, telemedicine, testing laboratories, also for the agricultural-related industries like fertilizer, agri-finance, seeds, and the supply chain management of agri-related companies. I do see a growth opportunity in education, especially what we have been discussing, e-education or online teaching education. Also, insurance companies, the government is going to invest largely on infrastructure and large projects to create employment opportunity and a demand side growth. E-commerce, communication, home entertainment, computer illegal consultancies, demand for small vehicles and two-wheelers could be the immediate beneficiaries post-COVID. Thank you.
Okay, now the smart four results have come, and I request Professor Swamin to organize.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, participants, for getting engaged on the online polling mechanism here. And this is one of the significant questions which we had devised for our attendees today. That overall, what has been their suggestions and what has been their verdict on the experience of online classes, whether it has been favorable or not, or they are still battling it out. Mr. Pandey, can you please have the results for the third question on the quick poll?
Mr. Pandey, can you have the results, please? Okay, now the results have come.
Without an ounce of doubt, we already knew the answer for this particular question. There are almost 80% in favor of gaining the experience and gaining the learning etiquettes that are associated with this online medium. However, there is also some relevant, about 10% of not being in favor. Now, this actually is understood because there are different perceptions and different receiving of the learning and the instruction based medium. But being coachable would be equally advantageous. I suppose without completely abandoning the online medium, there should be more participation to it. But of course, if feasible, there can be once we come out of this pandemic, once there is physical endeavor and physical presence, then I think the campus-based classroom and coaching would suffice otherwise. But then the unfavorable percentage here could also be not due to the teaching part, but because of the technology. There could be possibly lack of internet facility or non-uninterrupted internet usage. Thank you once again, Mr. Pandey.
Well, very good. Thank you, Professor. Next is, since there will be a lot of transformation taking place, Professor Ray, do you think that the course curriculum will be completely revamped to include machine learning, AI, and cloud computing, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. According to a report of the United Nations on World Trade and Development, the coronavirus epidemic might have cost global economy USD 1 to 2 trillion in 2000, which has already started to pinch several sectors. The industries one are bearing the brunt, including aviation, hospitality, hotel, entertainment, tourism, logistics, and many other financial services. But as Professor Sao mentioned, it's like healthcare, pharma, technology services, etc., are going to perform better post-COVID. So universities, not only in India, rather worldwide, required to focus on placements in these sectors, which are going to see improvement in future. On the other hand, students should also be doing their part, like developing certain skill sets required for these sectors. So to say, data analytics, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, etc., for the future readiness, for the requirement of skills in their placement. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, again, I come to Professor Samu. Professor Samu, from March onwards, we heard some discomforting stories. Companies tackling employees, sending them indefinitely without pay or such stories. Students are perturbed, and they have risen. Do you think the employment scenario will be as scary, or kind of will there be a silver lining over the dark cloud of COVID? What is your take on this?
Ma'am, I would like to go along with the opinion given by the Chief Economic Advisor to Government of India, Mr. Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, who said in economics there is nothing called free lunch. Yes, the immediate short-term employment prospects look scary. People have lost jobs, companies have closed down, medium and small-scale industries are finding it difficult to revive. The supply chain management has almost collapsed. But the way the government of India has so far tackled this situation and is looking forward for economic revival through fiscal and monetary policies, I am quite confident that the demand will pick up around the festival season, that is September, October, and it will continue to grow. We can expect fairly large amount of foreign direct investment when companies would prefer to open up their industries in India. I do see a bright picture for employment opportunity by beginning of 2021 and which will keep growing for the year 2000.
How do you think that industry will take and bounce back again? And what is the message that we want to give to the students?
Keep learning. It's not only the concepts, learn skills, multi-skills. Develop your combination of skill and knowledge to develop your application side in this thing. Keep your head above the water, be balanced, keep learning, prepare yourself for a tough time, you will come out with it very successfully. And I would like to add one thing, focus on technology, focus on ABCD, what it is called artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud computing, data analysis, combine that, and it is going to be like whatever we do in any sphere of life, including industry, is going to be technology enabled. Make yourself competent, technologically competent.
Thank you, sir. Professor Mishra, I want to know that since we are talking a lot about technology, do you think that it will change the way, it does a fundamental change the way that humanity works and socializes? And do you think that work from home culture will be a new norm in this context?
Ma'am, before I answer to this particular question, I would like to add to one factor to what Professor Sahu has correctly remarked, that there is no free lunch. But similarly, there shouldn't be a free rider principle, and that can actually aggravate problem of the common. So whatever the government has been providing as a public good should be utilized efficiently. Now, of course, the COVID times have engulfed us to prepare for the future and shield the sectors in the present. There is a slowdown which is hinting at a recessionary phase, but certainly not depression. And this is going to be a continuous process of humanitarian effort as well as the social diaspora connect. And this transformation is occurring across continents. It is over-enduring, but it is also exposed to severe impediments. And it does rely upon a paradigm shift, not only from the cultural sequences of education provision, but more importantly, work from home is a proof to this continuity, that there is this new demand in the ecosystem and educational setup cannot overlook it. In fact, there is all the technological readiness which has been available not only at higher education ground, but it is fascinating to see that even the schools have adopted this new technological horizon. Now, this is not a perfect substitute for physical endeavor or presence, but perhaps an effective and possibly a temporary practice.
I think I agree with you. As humans, we need to be connected in a physical space. But COVID-19 will certainly impact our lives in many other ways. Now, concern is not new thing that COVID-19 will have a drastic impact on international student exchange. BGU has announced coming from different states to join MBA programs and other programs as well. There was a time, a year ago, it was called Mini India. So the students are going for international student exchange programs, and students were coming from different states as well. Now, do you think the students in those states, because international student exchange program has been certainly at this, but do you think there will be a problem of interstate mobility?
Of course, we are witnessing an unheard trade-off this time, and there will be a delay in the enrollment. Opportunity cost will be estimated on behalf of the scholars to take a decision which is apt for their careers. International exchange of both faculty members as well as students shall be exercised eventually, but certainly postponed given the economic and social restrictions under the global pandemic. Similarly, the interstate mobility which was otherwise a horizontal integration, state to state facilities, even that is going to gradually increase because we are a part of the emerging India, and the slowdown has been registering surprisingly an effective demand gap in the education sector. That does not stop aspiration, because we have seen that there are good number of institutes who have equipped themselves with technology resources so that they can tap their potential minds irrespective of the geographic and the economic constraints that the students or the teachers are facing because of COVID-19. And at PGU, we are evolving as a mini India, and this is going to create further frontier even for other institutes to engulf the current paradigm shift.
Oh, yes. But in spite of all this, I miss that PGU campus regulating all of this, so many languages, so many cultures, and so many festivals. I think the past glory should be back soon.
Truly.
My next question is to Professor Ray. Professor Ray, you know that a quality university is can be measured with the quality of research. So, what are the areas that you can predict in conducting research? Post-COVID?
Yeah, ma'am. COVID-19 continues to grow in impact. Academic research, particularly healthcare and life science researchers, are in the race to understand more about the novel coronavirus and are increasingly turning to cloud technologies to aid them in their work. For example, data-driven model simulations related to these areas of academic research can be well supported by Google Cloud. For this, for example, so you can say academic researchers will be taking more and more help of such technologies to carry out effective and result-oriented research. Yeah.
University also fulfills the objective of preparing students holistically to be active citizens and responsible citizens of tomorrow, and offers possibilities to the students in accordance with their talents and aspirations. What are the plans of Birla Global University towards this end?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, Birla Global University is certainly looking forward to train and orient its existing and prospective future students in terms of digital or virtual teaching learning process, so that its students would be playing a major role in this change process. We have planned to conduct face-by-face or capacity building program, personality development program for the student with the help of internal as well as hired external resource persons. Here at the Global University, we have designed a credit-based course titled DSC, Developing Self for Government Readiness for our MBA students, which helps them enormously to groom themselves for the placement interviews, which they are going to at the end of their program. Ma'am.
There are a number of questions. We have come to the end of this discussion. But there are a number of questions from the participants, and I would like to club a few questions together to plan time. So the first question I would like to Mr. Ray to respond. Mr. Ray, a question is: online higher education has been around for more than a decade now. Why did it not take over the conventional education system in the pre-COVID era? Online learning is not a library of video lectures and e-books that convert class notes into PDF. Mr. Ray. Mr. Ray.
Yeah. Ma'am, collaboration would be the key, but focal point will be the customer, student, industry should extend a helping hand. Educational institutions should give primacy to these two and prepare policies and systems to align on it. Parents will look for help, safe and secure physical facilities while expecting career opportunities from their wards. Communication, along with proactive and transparent linking of students and parents with the university will be different strategy.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's an interesting question. I would like to request Professor Lisa to answer to this. How online education can we manage the rural-based colleges at graduate level in the post-COVID phase, and how to develop education system in remote areas and they don't have technology and the parents don't have no idea.
Thank you, participants, for putting up a very pertinent question and having the heart for the heartbeat of India, which lies in the rural connectivity. The best way to predict the future is actually to invent it. And Mahatma Gandhi ji once said that the future of India lies in the villages. While we are talking about the educational provisions and career opportunities, the job market, let us look at these two contradicting realistic events that are occurring simultaneously, and they are not mutually exclusive. So on one hand, we see industries like ITC through their e-Chopal tapping the potential of the village market economy, the rural livelihood. And on the other hand, we see that maybe till the primary or the secondary education, there are aspirants who continue in the village development or in the remote locations. But for higher education or for career orientation, they do migrate to cities. So this is what opportunity or seeking opportunity results in. And this information is not asymmetry or causing any moral hazard. Every individual has a right to do better in life and therefore explore the different avenues. But certainly there shouldn't be urbanization at the cost of rural environment, because the rural hub has in fact determined many other sectoral scopes. We can have rural tourism, we can have rural handicrafts, we can have rural connectivity, we can have everything that makes even rural areas a luxury, because, and particularly because nature is freely available, and what we really need to regenerate ourselves with it.
Okay, that's a wonderful response. Now let's consider I request Professor Rao to respond within 2 minutes. What is the impact of COVID-19 in a further part of students? And the job scenario, whether it will be more jobs in government sector post-COVID, post-COVID, there are some questions.
Madam, as I have already said, yes, the immediate job prospects look scary. Whether to go for an MBA or a job, it depends on what school you believe in. Do you believe in the American system where they demand some years of experience, or in the Indian education system where in the IIMs also you see nearly 60% of the students are freshers? The choice is yours. Right now it looks bad, it is difficult, but all that I can tell you, when you come, if you join now, complete the course by 2022, opportunities will be far, far better, and chances of getting your landing up with a fairly good job is very high. So the choice is yours whether you want to take up a job now, continue your studies for a break. Is it there a second part of the question, ma'am? Yeah, about the government job. Okay, about the government job. Look, government is going to invest a lot of money, be it in infrastructure, be it in projects. It will be in the education sector. It will be in the health sector. If you look at the global statistics, Indian investment in education and health is way below the global level. So we will see a lot of investment from government in specific areas like education, health, infrastructure, and chances of getting good government jobs are equally good as your chances of even landing with a multi.
Okay. Now, the number of questions, just one more question that we can take. Professor Sandhya, the question I asked is online course suitable for examination. I request Professor Mishra to respond to this. Just within this 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sandhya, for this pertinent question. Now, examination is a very pious effort, and of course, there are challenges when you want to conduct it online. But let us also not forget that most of the competitive examinations across pan India are being conducted online. Hence, even individual issued and setups can in fact go for this online conduct of examination because that is not only going to be, meeting your deadline to publish your results and make the students aware of their performance, but it is also a very valid way to deal with the current crisis, because at the current scenario, we cannot expect students to come back to campus, not very soon. And of course, the pattern of setting up the question paper, which is suitable for the online mode, and then going for a third party probably to prepare the multiple choice based questions or analogy or graphic content which is required for the particular subject course. There are challenges, and I think it is always recommended to meet these challenges and not keep postponing them, because if not today, then certainly tomorrow we are all going to take a bigger role in the digital accessibility, and this is also spreading to different continents and different peripheries. In fact, the emergence of artificial intelligence and the new era of employability skills, the ease of doing business factors, they are all going to be examining the talent, the continuity, the hiring process, and all the possible filtration, adopting technology, adopting the online media, and therefore at schools, at colleges, at universities, especially for examining talent, even for the interview processes and conducting examinations like you questioned, we have to be prepared online.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. There are a number of questions, and we are just running short of time. So I request the participants to send their queries to any of the panel members or to me, and they will surely respond. Now, I would like to summarize. And summarize the report by Winston Churchill. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. In a nutshell, there will be a wave of change coming in higher education. As teachers and students will learn to stream over. The panel members in this webinar discussed the issues like upcoming challenges and opportunities in teaching, learning, evaluation, research, and most importantly, the future employability of the students. Online teaching learning will be a pedagogical model surely, but there will be an aggregation of the various other models as well. For the digital keyboard to be successful, there should be more collaboration in university. It is very reassuring to understand now people will not get drowned under uncertainty post-COVID, but they're making all efforts to come out more successfully and more clearly. I thank the very knowledgeable panel members who have thrown light on the above issues. I must thank Mr. Devashish Patnaik, Mr. K.M. Pandey, Mr. A.P. Mishra for all their support to make this program successful. We are always grateful to the management for the constant support and encouragement for any of the program. And with this, we would like to conclude this webinar. And
sorry to interrupt, ma'am, but I don't think there could be a conclusion yet. We are not ending on any note, but promising to start from here. Gratitude is the memory that is created in the heart, and therefore, on behalf of Birla Global University, we express our gratitude to our moderator, Professor Anubha Rai, for facilitating this particular session and with all the encouraging questions that she has put forward to. And on that note, dear everyone, stay home, stay safe, prepare online, work online, and certainly we are going to be with each other in a better future, which is strengthened with our current efforts. Thank you once again, everybody. Good day.
I think we have missed out somebody. We have missed out Professor Ajitav Das, who has helped us tremendously today to successfully conduct this program behind the scene. Thank you, Ajitav. Thanks a lot. And bye.
Thank you, Ajitav.
Thank you very much.
Good day, everybody. Good day. Good day.
Good day and all the best. Thank you very much.